So update 1.1 is nearing its end, and what that means is there's gonna be a new update 1.2, and with that there will be new content, new mechanics in the game, more new stuff, which means it's gonna be pretty exciting. Not only that, the update is relatively coming very soon, which is December 23. So mark your calendars, December 23 will be the official launch date of update 1.2. But before that, MiHoYo actually allowed you to pre-update the game. What that means is you will be able to download most of the game files before the day it actually launches to help you save from the hassle like what we experienced in the previous update 1.1. What that means is just it will give you a more easier way to update the game when the update eventually arrives, starting from December 21. So if you would want to pre-update the game to save yourself the hassle of updating the game for an entire day, I suggest that you would want to update at December 21. Just pre-update your game and everything will be fine. Hopefully this time no hitches. Okay, so update 1.2, what do we have? So in the previous Genshin Impact livestream, if you catch something, there is quite a lot of things that are new to the game. So first things first, let's talk about Dragon Spine. Dragon Spine will be a new portion of the map, and from the looks of it, it looks relatively small compared to the other regions. But despite looking that way, they seem to be able to add a lot of areas in this map. So to name a few, there is the snow-covered path, Skyfrost Nail, Wormrest Valley Core, Wormrest Valley Periphery, Frost-Bearing Tree, Starglow Cavern, and Tombed City, the ancient place. So you may be wondering, how exactly did they fill this much areas in such a small space? Well, the answer is, the map is deceptively small. The whole area is supposedly a cavern system, which composes of multiple levels and of course, an outer level which will eventually you will be able to reach the peak. And which is really exciting in my opinion, since there will be so many stuff that we will be able to explore in this region despite what the map looks like. And of course, let's bring our attention to the star of the show, which is the new 5-star characters in this game. And the first one that's gonna be up is Albedo. He is the chief alchemist of the Mondstadt region and is also the captain of the investigation team. And by the looks of it, he appears to be a sword user with a Geo element. Now this is actually pretty fun and interesting since she is a Geo, which means we will have 4 Geo characters including the Traveler in our current team, which will make team building pretty interesting as Albedo is added in the team pool. And with a short rundown of his abilities, this is how it goes. So Albedo's E or elemental skill, what the most basic thing we learn from this ability is that he puts a flower on the ground with an AoE around it, and anyone that gets damaged in that AoE will make the flower bloom. And when the flower blooms, you can actually stand on top of it and make it as a platform. It is really interesting what you can do with it. For example, if you take a ranged character on top of that platform, you can potentially make a living turret, especially when you're doing co-ops, and it would probably help you aid in your exploration to reach higher places that normally would take a lot of stamina to climb. And then his Q or elemental burst, he will summon geocrystals and those will burst forth, dealing damage to enemies nearby. And if he has E placed on the ground, that will also deal damage to surrounding enemies. That is basically Albedo's kit. Moving on to the other star of the show is Ganyu. If you have progressed long enough in the story quest, you would know that Ganyu is the secretary at Yuhei Pavilion, and she appears to be a cryo element wielding the bow. And ladies and gentlemen, yet again, we have another bow user. But this time, it's actually quite unique on how her charge ability works. As you may have known, most charge ability of the bow users simply just applies the element on the bow. But with Ganyu, she actually has different charge levels that changes the characteristics of her attack based on how many the charge level is. For example, the longer you charge the bow, it will eventually deal an AoE cryo damage to all of the enemies nearby, which is really strong in my opinion. And of course, let's not forget to discuss her abilities. First things first is her elemental skill. Ganyu will release a flower that will attract or taunt enemies nearby, and eventually it will reach a point where it explodes. And then her elemental burst or Q, she will summon a huge AoE circle around the area and it will rain ice shards, dealing cryo damage to enemies trapped in the vicinity. So if you really think about it, Ganyu is more of an Amber but in a cryo version, and also the better version of Amber, since if you look at it, her E Tree is a taunt ability that will eventually explode, similar to how Amber's teddy bear that will eventually explode, and then the Q, which will rain down instead of fire arrows, it will rain down ice shards in a much larger radius AoE that deals cryo damage. And in my opinion, she looks really promising and really strong. Of course, the way to get them is the banner, and from what it looks like, it appears that Albedo will be the first one in the banner, and then followed up by Ganyu in the following weeks. So if you want Ganyu, save your Primo Gems for her. If you want Albedo, you're free to summon her the moment the update launches. It is still not confirmed though, so we may as well just wait. Eventually, time will tell. Of course, there will be new things to watch out for in the current game, quite literally, because there will be new monsters added to the game in the respective Dragon Spire region, which is really chilly, really cold, and what that means is that monsters will be added in the game somewhere in that vicinity where they are what appears to be the frost variant of the current mobs that we encountered in the game. So first things first is that we have Froststorm Lava Churl or the Yeti Churl. It is essentially the lava churl that is found in the Liyue region, only this time it appears that it has frost armor instead of the geo armor that it has on the Liyue region. And then we have the Cryo-Season Mages, which is essentially the cryo version of the regular Electro-Season Mages version that you found in the world currently, which is a pretty neat feature in my opinion. And then we have the Cryo-Sama Churl, which is essentially the Shaman of the Hilichurls, only cryo version. And then finally we have the Ruin Greater, which is the Ruin Guard, but this time it has different skill set, different moveset that is only found in the Frostspine region, which means that these things are different variants from the original Ruin Guard, but we don't know if it will drop the same thing. Now bringing it back to the Dragonspine region, we have new mechanics when you venture out to this really cold climate. One mechanic is called the Sub-Zero Climate, which if you have played Zelda Breath of the Wild, you know that when you venture out into cold climates, you will eventually accumulate sheer cold that damages your character the longer you stay in the cold. But to counter this, we also have heat sources that decelerates the sheer cold and prevent you from taking damage, so it is important to bring a fire unit or a pyro unit in this case to help you not take damage when trekking into the cold climates. And of course, with this mechanic, the same with Breath of the Wild, if you explore even colder regions, in examples bodies of water, this will further accelerate the sheer cold and you will take more damage and it will eventually knock you out of the game. Now what exactly do you see the moment you reach the Dragonspine area? As we have mentioned earlier, Dragonspine area is a cave system that branches out into different paths, and what should you look out for? So first things first, there is these things called the ice shards, which open up a path if they are broken, but these things aren't exactly easy to break like how we are used to just brute force using a claymore to break all the stuff. These things can only be broken by solving puzzles, which means it's gonna take a long time before you actually get to break one of these. And yes, one of these, meaning there would be multiple ice shards scattered throughout the map, and when you break all of this, it will eventually lead you to the summit, and who knows what's on the top. We'll never know until we play the game, which personally makes me really exciting on what greets you on top of the summit. Now breaking ice shards will not only reveal a path, it will also reveal a frost-bearing tree, which is another new feature in the game, which can be offered by the Crimson Agate, which is again a new feature in the game. So basically what these things are is that frost-bearing trees are scattered throughout the map, and what this tree does is when you offer them Crimson Agate that is found in the wild or completing Crest, they will offer you some rewards. So think about this as the statues that you found in the Mondstadt or the Liyue region, and if you offer enough Agate, it will give you rewards. And at level 10, you will earn a new blueprint for a catalyst weapon that can be crafted, which means we are not only limited to 2 catalyst weapons, but it appears that there will be another addition to the team. Not only that, if you collect enough dragon teeth, these are new things that you've seen in the game, you will eventually be able to craft a new spear called the Dragonspine Spear along with its blueprint. So not only do we get an additional catalyst weapon that can be crafted, we will also have access to a new craftable spear called the Dragonspine Spear. But wait, if you have explored long enough and see some ruins, if you have seen all of the ruins and unravel its secret, you will be offered yet another 4-star weapon, which is this time called the Snow Tomb Star Silver Claymore. And speaking of exploration, you will eventually see a new domain that will be added into the game in the Dragonspine region. And of course, they will offer this time artifacts. Both of them falls quite into the category of this region, and one of them is of course gonna be the cryo artifact, which is called the Blizzard Strayer, which in its essence defense will boost your cryo damage, and the other one would be the Heart of Death, which is the Hydro artifact, which of course again will boost your Hydro damage. And yes, these are found in the new domain that is located in the Dragonspine region. Now let's not forget, when there's a new update, there's always gonna be a new event, and this time it's actually pretty interesting. We have the very first event at the update 1.2 called the Chalk Prince and the Dragon, which will be available exactly at the update. And from the looks of it, you will have yet again another 4-star weapon that you will be able to upgrade with the new stuff that you are gonna get from this event. And of course, we will be able to keep that item, and hopefully we can find other resources that we can upgrade the weapon in case that we fail to completely max out the gear during the event. This event will be a 4-part event, so expect that this event will be extremely long and really fun. Now there is also other events prepared for this update. One of them is called the Hypostasis Symphony. It has a scaling difficulty, and as what you have expected it features hypostasis. So in a domain or an area, you will be able to fight different kind of hypostasis, and hopefully you will be able to kill all of them. And what MiHoYo said was, it is designed for those who are really into the game and want to see harder contents. And with this, Hypostasis Symphony is quite a challenge since you will be able to fight hypostasis in a domain or enclosed area. And then the next event is called the Lost Riches, which this time you will be partnered up with the Sealy, or the small spirit or wisp thingies that you found in the overworld that will eventually lead you to a statue that usually grants you a chest. This time you will be partnered up with the Sealy to find treasures or items on the ground that you pick up that will earn you iron coins, which will eventually be able to exchange in the event shop, which then you will be able to eventually own a Sealy pet, which is, in my opinion, I'm really excited since we finally have a pet system in the game. And last but not the least of the events is called the Marvelous Merchandise. So again, if you haven't experienced this update, there will be this new NPC in the game that will offer you merchandise provided that you give him the stuff that he wants in the game. Only this time it has a short twist. He will actually offer different items in a different player's world. So what that means, if you have a friend, if you join his world, it is possible that the items he offered will not be the same as the items he offers in your world. So it is advised to visit your friends every now and then to check on them on what the rewards it is eventually when the Marvelous Merchandise event begins. Now I would like to briefly mention here that in the banners, it is not confirmed on who the other 3 4-star characters that will be in the banner, but it appears that Rosaria, a new character that will be introduced to the game, will be here, and she appears to be a pole arm user with a cryo element. So keep your eyes peeled for her if you want her, and we'll eventually know what will happen next in the following days, and as usual, time will tell. And then finally, let's talk about the system optimization or the system changes that will be happening in the update 1.2. I will briefly mention what these changes are, as they are not that huge, but is definitely a huge quality of life changes. So the first things first is you are finally be able to put a friend nickname. What that means is you can personally set a nickname to that specific friend so you don't forget what their name is in case they change their nicknames. There will also be a photo taking optimization in the game, so if you're into that, you might want this update. And then you have the domain results optimization. What that means is every time you collect the rewards at the end of the event, everything will be finally added to your inventory instead of picking them up one by one, which is in my case really convenient. You can also choose to challenge the domain again. And then you also have the character ascension rewards. What that means is that every time you level up a character at level 20, level 50, and level 70, it will grant you 1 Acquaint Fate, which is really interesting, and I'm really happy about this change because it costs a lot to upgrade one unit, especially if you want to reach that level 70 mark. So rewarding you with 1 Acquaint Fate per level 20, 50, and 70 in a total of 3 Acquaint Fate per characters is definitely an amazing feature. And also, you will be able to have emotes in the game, which is really nice just to have an interaction in the online world, especially when you're playing with friends. Emotes are the way to go. And that is basically it. Everything we know about Genshin Impact Update 1.2. If you have watched all the way till the end, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like the video. If you want to see more of these kinds of video, please do subscribe. I do my best in trying to keep my uploads at a relatively spaced time. And if you really want to show your support, please do leave a like and subscribe. It's free. It really motivates me to show these kinds of videos, so it really makes me happy. And thank you so much for watching. And with that, I will be out. See you in the next one. Peace.